It's 2026, and you're standing in the security line watching the person in front of you get pulled aside over something they swear they've packed 100 times, and you can see it instantly on their face. Wait, that's not allowed anymore? Because that's what's different now. It's not the obvious stuff, it's the autopilot stuff. And this year, they're enforcing harder: size, weight, batteries, liquids, even how you pack them. In this video, I pulled the latest 2026 guidance from TSA, the FAA, and IATA, plus real-world reports, and turned it into a simple, no-drama carry-on checklist you can use before you leave the house, so you don't lose time, money, or your gear at the checkpoint. And there's one item on this list that looks completely harmless until security treats it like a problem. Let's start with the rule that hits people first: carry-on size, and why the bag you've trusted for years can suddenly fail in front of everyone. In 2026, your carry-on doesn't pass because it looks normal. It passes when it drops into the sizer without a fight. Picture this: you've used the same roller for years, so you're relaxed at the gate. Then an agent points to the frame. You slide it in, and it catches by half an inch. In that moment, it doesn't matter that it's always been fine. The frame says no, and your bag just stopped being a carry-on. Here's what's actually going on. TSA cares about what's inside your bag. Airlines care about the outside: size, shape, and whether it fits where it needs to go. Many US carriers hover around 22 by 14 by 9 with wheels and handles, and anything that sticks out counts. Hard corners, stuffed front pockets, that expansion zipper you only opened a little. And when it doesn't fit, that last-minute call can cost around $35 to close to $100, depending on the airline and route, while you're pulling out your laptop, meds, and camera before the bag disappears down the jet bridge. So how do you stay out of that mess in 2026? Before you fly, measure the outside of your bag at home the way the airline will treat it at the gate, wheels and handle included. If you're right on the edge, don't pack it like a stuffed brick. Give yourself breathing room, because the moment your bag looks bulky, you're basically volunteering for a gate check. Get size under control, and you've dodged the first landmine. But even if your bag fits the frame, 2026 adds another filter you feel the second you lift it: weighs. Carry-on weight is no longer that cute little rule airlines technically have. It's getting checked, and the surprise is how early it can hit you. A lot of carriers cap cabin bags somewhere around 8 to 10 kilos. Sounds fine, until you remember the suitcase itself already weighs a few pounds empty. Add a laptop, sneakers, toiletries, and a couple of just-in-case outfits, and you're suddenly closer to the line than you think. The part most people aren't ready for is where the weigh-ins happen. At some airports, the weigh-in happens right at check-in or bag drop. If they ask for your cabin bag there, you can get flagged before you even reach security. Other times, it's at the gate, which is the worst version. You're sitting there with your coffee thinking you're safe. Then you hear your name. You walk up, the agent points to a scale, and your bag has to go on in front of everyone. If it's over, your options are all annoying. Repack right there, pay a fee you didn't budget for, or gate check it and hope your stuff comes back in one piece. And the reason airlines care more now isn't a mystery. Heavy carry-ons slow boarding. People struggle to lift them, bins get jammed, aisles turn into a traffic jam. And when you're wrestling a bag, that's when it slips going in or drops coming out. So here's the simple rule: if you need 2 hands and a deep breath to lift your carry-on, it's probably too heavy for a smooth 2026 flight. The fix is boring, but it works. Weigh your bag in your bedroom, not in front of a gate full of people. If you're close to the limit, wear your heaviest shoes and jacket. And if your airline only weighs the cabin bag, move chargers and your power bank to your personal item. And I use a 3-times test to decide what actually earns a spot in the cabin. If I won't realistically use it at least 3 times on this trip, it doesn't deserve carry-on weight. Because the lighter your bag is, the less you deal with scales and surprise gate drama. And the more energy you have for the next thing airlines are tightening up: that personal item you keep treating like a second suitcase. You think liquids are boring? Wait until I tell you about the solid item TSA treats like a liquid all the time: peanut butter. And it's not just peanut butter. If you can spread it, smear it, spray it, or spill it, TSA treats it like a liquid. Now, here's why liquids feel inconsistent in 2026: the scanners. At some big airports, think LAX, JFK, Chicago O'Hare, you might walk into a lane with the newer CT scanners where your bag goes on the belt and you don't have to pull out your liquids or your laptop. It feels like the whole 311 era finally loosened up. But that experience isn't guaranteed everywhere. You can get the leave it in the bag lane on the way out, then land in a more old school setup on the way back. And the rule underneath all of this still hasn't changed. In the US, 3-to-1-1 is still the baseline. Liquids, gels, aerosols, 3.4 ounces, 100 milliliter max, all inside one clear quart-size bag. That covers the obvious stuff like shampoo and lotion, but also the sneaky things people forget. Creamy spreads, sauces, some cosmetics, and that giant miracle face serum you bought at duty-free and never opened. Could you list everything in your bag that actually counts as a gel right now? I'm willing to bet a bunch of you just started replaying your toiletry bag in your head. So don't pack for the easiest lane. Pack like you're going to hit the strict lane at least once. Keep your liquids and anything spreadable together in one clear pouch near the top of your bag. If you get a CT lane and they let everything stay inside, amazing. You just saved a step. If the next checkpoint wants the pouch out, you can grab it in 2 seconds without unpacking your entire carry-on on the belt. You can also make your life easier by swapping to solids where it makes sense. Shampoo bar, conditioner bar, solid deodorant, those don't play in the liquid limits at all. And they don't become a surprise problem when the lane rules feels different. And if you think that's frustrating, the next category is the one that can turn a normal bag into a full stop: batteries, power banks, smart luggage, and those harmless gadgets that suddenly become a problem the moment someone sees a lithium label. Imagine buying a $200 cordless straightener and toss it into your checked suitcase to keep your carry-on light. You land, your bag arrives, and the straightener is gone. Why? Because you treated a lithium battery like a pair of socks. Over the last few years, airlines and safety agencies have all circled the same problem: lithium batteries that overheat. And it's never the weird stuff. It's the everyday things: a power bank, spare camera batteries, or a smart suitcase. So the core rule is simple: spare lithium batteries and power banks belong in your carry-on only. Never loose in a checked bag. And look for the watt-hour number, the WH, on the battery label. Most normal power banks are under 100 watt-hours and are generally fine in the cabin. Once you get above 100 watt-hours, you may need airline approval. And above 160 watt-hours is usually not allowed for passengers. There's another quiet test: can your devices turn on? Sometimes security will ask you to power on a phone, tablet, or laptop. If it's dead, it can slow you down, so don't travel with a bag full of dead bricks. Smart luggage is the same story. If your suitcase has a built-in battery for charging or tracking, many airlines care about one thing: can the battery come out? If the battery is buried deep in the frame and can't be removed without tools, some airlines simply won't take the bag at all. Cordless hair tools are where a lot of travelers get blindsided. If it's cordless and it gets hot, treat it as cabin only. Make sure it's cool, the safety cover is on, and it can't accidentally switch on. If security finds a fueled or battery-powered hot tool sitting in a checked bag, they can pull it as hazardous, and there's a good chance you won't be getting it back. Medical gear follows the same lithium logic, just with more understanding. CPAP batteries still need to be in the cabin with the contacts protected. Then if someone asks, "It's for my CPAP," usually ends the conversation. How do you stay out of this mess? Do a quick battery audit before you leave. Find the WH rating. Keep spares in the cabin with terminals protected. Make sure smart luggage batteries are removable. And charge your main devices so they can power on if asked. If your gadgets can't turn on, or your smart bag's battery can't come out, that's no big deal. It's a problem waiting to happen at security. Get your batteries right, and the only battlefield left is the most fought-over real estate in the sky: the overhead bin. We've talked about size, weight, personal items, and batteries. The last battle that decides whether your bag stays with you is the overhead bins. In 2026, that space above your head isn't a free perk anymore. It's something you either plan for or you lose. Flights are packed, turnarounds are faster, and airlines sell every kind of early boarding they can. So bins fill up earlier, and late boarding groups get whatever's left, which is often nothing. You can do everything right. Your bag fits, you weighed it at home, your personal item is truly under seat size. but you're in basic economy or your boarding group is near the end. By the time your zone is called, half the plane is already on. The bins over your row are stuffed, and your perfectly legal carry-on still gets tagged and sent down the jet bridge. So how do you win the overhead game without becoming the person arguing in the aisle? First, treat your boarding group like part of your strategy. If overhead space matters, don't wander off for one more coffee when your group is about to be called. Being ready at the gate is one of the few free ways left to protect bin space. Second, treat your under-seat bag like your backup plan. Anything you can't afford to lose access to, passport, meds, wallet, laptop, stays under the seat. That way, if your main bag gets gate checked, you're annoyed, but you're not stranded. And if you're traveling with someone, coordinate. 2 maxed out rollers is 2 bags fighting for the same overhead real estate. 1 shared carry-on up top and 2 smart personal items below often works better and quietly raises your odds. In 2026, overhead space isn't guaranteed just because your bag meets the rules. It's something you earn with how you board and how you pack. And when you play it right, all the work you did earlier actually pays off. So, when you zoom out, 2026 carry-on rules really come down to 3 moves. Pack a bag that actually fits, keep the risky stuff where the rules want it, and stop betting they'll let it slide this time. The rules do feel tighter, but they're also a lot more predictable once you know how the system thinks. Airlines count on most people never reading the fine print. Now you know what they're looking for. Tell me in the comments, what's the most ridiculous carry-on rule you've run into lately? If this helped, hit like, so YouTube shows it to other travelers still packing like it's 2019. And subscribe for more no-drama flying guides.